Hi, welcome everybody to Survive and Thrive in the Age of AI. Real advice for college students. I am Dr. Steve Haberlin with my co-host, Dr. Shiva Jahani.
Yeah, hi everyone. Good morning. And also welcome, Leah, to our episode. I have been looking forward to this chat all week. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, we appreciate
Excited.
it.
Yeah.
So we wanted to bring you in later to discuss, what that's like being a student using AI tools and navigating all the uncertainties and complexities. Welcome to the show, and maybe you could just tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here. I am a microbiology major at University of Florida. I am going to use that to go on to med school and go into sports medicine. I'm an ice hockey coach now, going on 4 years. And before that, I was training all different types of athletes. And I have a background in martial arts as well, coaching that. So about a decade or so of experience just kind of working with people. And I think that gives me quite a bit of insight into how people think and how they're coached and how they absorb information and how they use that information that's given.
Any particular with martial arts? Is there a particular style or discipline that you've trained in? Or?
Yeah, so I did Taekwondo for about 6 years.
Wow.
Yeah, and a little bit of Krav Maga and some jujitsu as well. So.
Wow, that's
Oh,
great. Tell us a little bit about your experience with AI, maybe kind of how it first came in, your first interactions, and maybe how your relationship with it evolved.
Yeah, so personally, my relationship is I don't prefer to use it. I'll use it as a tool for something that I've already acquired the knowledge for, and maybe I just need to refresh on it or something. Or I use Google Calendars, so that's kind of like my interface with keeping my life up to date. I think that the times that I've tried to use it for help on something, that it's just been way too confusing. There's way too much information. You'll type in a prompt and it'll give me, 300 different choices that are all completely different. And I think that that's very overwhelming. My experience was that it was overwhelming and confusing to try to navigate what choice I'm supposed to use based on all these options that they're giving me. As far as the University of Florida goes, they are very strict as far as there is no AI usage, allowed really, unless it's, like Grammarly or Word, or you're
Really?
using it to kind of check a document, like
Yeah.
for spelling, which I'm terrible at. So I do use it in that respect because I just, I'm a medical major, not an English major. So I leave that to things that can do that for me. But they are very strict. They do have a lot of things in place to check if you have used AI. So they have a lot of AI checkers when you.
They'll check, they'll
yeah.
run through and say what percent of it
Mm-hmm.
was created by AI. Do they have one standard policy for different professors? Like if you go to, math class, is it different from biology class as far as AI policy? And is it on the syllabus? Like how do you navigate the difference in instructor or faculty expectations for class?
Yeah, no, that's a really good question. So I believe, because I've had an English writing course that was mandatory for my major, and on that it was everywhere. It was in the announcements at the beginning of school. It was in the syllabus to say, hey, we consider this cheating. This
Mhm.
has to be all original work. Obviously, unless you're citing sources, a certain percent of that is going to be, flagged. But then as far as, my microbiology class, there wasn't much mentioned about it, considering we don't do too much original writing. So it's kind of all just part of, microbiology. It's kind of set standard of what you're learning. So I don't believe they were too concerned with that. We did have some discussion boards, and that was kind of also just briefly mentioned in the announcements for the discussion boards, like, hey, make sure that your work is original and that, we will be looking at that. So
Oh.
it
So it looks different on different syllabus. There's different
mhm.
expectation or policy. I
Yeah,
saw
I
I
mean,
saw a LinkedIn post or something about that. That's very
in
interesting.
cons
There's not uniform policy and
yes,
even
exactly. And I think this is,
yeah,
as you said, it's very confusing, for students also, and navigating
yeah.
the way, for different faculty, different classes, and the nature of the course. What is your reaction to that?
Yeah, well, absolutely. The first time I remember using it, I was overwhelmed and trying to sort through information based on what my professor had given me and what, the algorithm for AI was
Mm-hmm.
giving me. I think that took me longer to even try to set a baseline than if I had just looked at the syllabus and followed the syllabus and the textbook. So that's eventually what I ended up doing because I was just so overwhelmed with the information. You're cross-referencing, you're spending
Mm-hmm.
hours just
Yeah,
cross-referencing. Do I need to
cross-referencing.
know
Mm-hmm.
this? Do I not need to know this? I do think that AI is useful though.
Mm-hmm.
I think it has a place. I think it has great organizational skills that can be done very quickly, which
Mm-hmm.
can, be time consuming for kind of a human to sit there
Yeah.
and try to
Yeah.
label
Mm-hmm.
everything out. You can just be
Mm-hmm.
like, hey, here's some information, organize this by this, and this. And I've used it for that so that I can
Mm-hmm.
kind of get my head structured in these kind of files because I
Mm-hmm.
believe that that's a great way to learn. It's almost like, our brain has these little file cabinets and we're opening each
Yeah.
thing and
Mm-hmm.
pulling out that information. So I'm very organized and that does help me organize
Mm-hmm.
things. But yeah, I can't imagine how, because I didn't have AI, in high school. So I can't imagine going from, high school to college with all this type of information that's out there so readily. Um, yeah, because for me it was overwhelming.
You mentioned you're going to the medical school.
Hmm.
Do you feel like a
It's not,
fear
yeah,
of
yeah,
losing job? And, because we have seen students are shifting their major because
Hmm.
of like saying,
yeah.
AI is, doing coding job and other
Hmm.
type of roles. So what about you? What would you advise and what would you suggest to student or yourself? I mean,
Yeah, absolutely. So I have spoken to a few of the kids that I coach, and they've been talking about switching their majors. They
yeah.
wanted to do
Mhm.
computer software engineering, and they're like, well, by the time I get out,
Yes, exactly.
why am I doing this? And it's kind of a hard thing to tell them because
Hmm.
everybody's uncertain. We don't know if it will replace us. It is starting to in certain jobs. So I can't say to them, hey, don't think like that. I don't want to give them
Yeah.
some type of information that I may
Hmm.
not know. But I think it is scary for people who, you grow up having that dream that you're going to do computer software and maybe
Yeah.
that's a passion of yours and something that you want to do. And now you're like, well, what else am I going to do? I think I would like it to not replace people and their jobs, but I can already see that starting to happen with certain
Mm-hmm.
things. And as far as the medical field goes, it's already in it. It's
Mm-hmm.
do all you do is dictate to it sometimes, and then it just gives you a report. So you can just talk right into a phone or something and say, hey, make this a medical report. Boom, there you go. Or, hey, patient is, exhibiting symptoms of XYZ. Oh, okay, well, here are some of the prognosis that it, could be. And then you're just looking at this list of maybes. And I think that it does a couple of things. It makes it impersonal. I think it makes it we're not sitting there using our cognitive functions, and so we're not free thinking. And AI is not perfect. It's programmed. It's coding. It's programmed by a human.
Yeah.
So, and we're not perfect.
Yes.
So I think that leaves a lot of room for mistakes and things that otherwise you would use some critical thinking to say, okay, well, these are the symptoms that they're presenting, but
Yeah.
what follow-up questions can I ask this person? What's the root of this? Like, AI doesn't think like that. It's very black
Exactly.
and
I
white.
love that. I love that because that's what, we would suggest our students use AI and engage AI for more critical thinking and being more critical thinkers, instead of just having that anxiety of stress of like AI is taking over all our jobs and everything. I love that. Thank you.
Center, do you think we can, I don't know if harmonize, maybe integrate it into our fields or life?
I mean, I think that that would be the ultimate goal, right? When we think about the medical field and healthcare, the first thing you think about is all the filing, all the paperwork, all the things that have to be done in that sense. And I think if AI were integrated properly, then 90% of that would be gone, and you'd be able to actually see more patients and spend more time with your patients because you're not spending all this time on paperwork, or you're not necessarily having to hire a whole bunch of people to focus on just that, and they can focus on being a nurse or being a doctor
Yeah.
and not have to spend the time doing the paperwork. So I think being able to tell AI, hey, this is what I want to put into the patient's chart, these are the things that I want to do, and kind of have it do that for you, I think that that's incredibly useful and will help the medical field. But to have it be a diagnosis and do the job of a human doctor,
Human.
I find that terrifying and not advisable, because again, computers are not cognitive sentient beings. They're not able to critically think in that way. And I think another issue is when we ask AI something, yes, we are asking an entire database something, but it's limited. But when, like, just now we're having this conversation, we're able to exchange ideas and exchange theories and exchange, you know, um, just basically critical think in the same room together. And I think that's something that's lacking when you just type in a prompt to an AI,
Right.
and you really miss being able to grow your knowledge base from different perspectives, because AI is just, it has a lot of information, but it's one perspective, it's one coding. And I think that that is a thing that we shouldn't lose, especially in the medical field, especially in any type of job market.
I want to circle back to the confusion, like when you first start using it and what they're doing at your university. Are there any trainings that have been offered at medical school, or is it just you just kind of thrown out there in your own in the water and you got to learn?
Yeah, it's a free for all, like it's
Wow.
Thunderdome. You kind of go in it, and I think that maybe universities and professors and I think maybe they have this idea that you already know how to use it. That I guess if you don't know how to use it, you can just ask it, right?
Wow.
I think that maybe that's their thought process. So no, and some of the high schoolers who I've talked to, they haven't had any guidance on how to use AI. Also, I've talked to them, and a couple of the kids I coach have said, like, I don't know, my professor said just go to Chat GPT and ask it for a study guide, and I was like,
Exactly.
Wow.
what? What do you mean?
Shiva,
And they're like,
what do
yeah.
you think of that? Do we have formal trainings? There is an AI institute. We have a whole institute, and
Yeah.
there's a lot of resources, but I don't think they were required. Oh, they were required to take an AI ethics. I mean, they took an AI ethics course with a
Yeah.
professor,
But
but as far
not
as
like
like
a,
it's not
yeah,
technical, like
correct.
not using
Yeah.
tools, I don't think
Of
there is
course, yeah.
anything.
Yeah.
Right?
Kevin also mentioned, UCF also has for faculty, but not for students.
There's a special assistant
So,
to the provost for AI.
yes,
He's
yeah,
like
for
our AI
AI at
leader.
UCF.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, I think this is going to happen. But as we are, we have this conversation and thinking and communicating, and this is kind of like a very important topic for everyone to find a way to just have orientation for students, how to use it, how to engage, how to just um, use it as a very efficient and smart assistant to help them, as Leah, you said, like for organizational skills, for critical thinking, and instead of other types of cheating, because that's a negative part of the and the disadvantage part of the using AI. But we all, I think, Steve, we are more into mental health and well-being things. So I think we have to look at the healthiest part of AI and engaging with AI.
Well, yeah,
That's
it's a relationship, but it's like, well, how are you also helping people with their relationship with this thing,
exactly.
because it's so
Yes,
new and
yes,
it's so
yeah,
complex and
exactly. For students, how we
relationship.
can create that trust and relationship. As we talk more and discuss more, we are increasing awareness of how to get engaged in better way, and help.
We're just got to analyze the data. Is there a relationship between increasing your awareness, your
Yeah,
mindfulness, and decreasing your stress? How does
yeah,
that relate to your AI kind of relationship or concerns? In other words, like there was one study that came out of China where increased mindfulness correlates with increased like healthier relationship with AI, more positive view of it, and not being so anxious about it. So we're studying
yeah,
that, but we also have a program that we developed that we're testing, and we're going into this summer. We're testing where it's for undergrads, and it looks at AI, the ethics of AI and how you relate to AI. And we have mindfulness and yoga based practices that help you with like breath work and those kind of things to see if that can kind of help you mitigate your AI relation. It's all about your relationship with AI.
yeah. What would you think, Leah, about this? I just want to hear your
Would they go together?
perception. Yeah,
Yeah, for sure. I absolutely love that. So I think that mindfulness, breath work, meditation, I think that's incredibly helpful and useful for people in general, but especially for college students. I mean, there's so much chatter that goes on in your brain when you're studying 4 or 5 different topics at a time. So I'll take probably 15 to 18 credits at a time, right? And I'm coaching,
yeah,
and I'm doing a lot. So there are times where
Yeah.
it's a lot
yes,
going on in there. So it helps bring you back down and realize what's important. You're kind of back down on earth, not having to deal with so much of the chatter. And I think when you have a more focused mindset and clearer mindset, you're able to discern things a lot easier.
yeah,
And one of those things
Yeah.
would be
Yeah.
AI, and how can
Mhm.
I use it and how can it be a tool for me, and not be reliant on its information, but using it to be, resourceful with the information.
yes,
So I think that that's incredibly helpful and beneficial.
mm,
And yeah, I'm a fan of it. And it,
You just said something about like when you're calmer and clearer and your nervous
yeah,
system is excited, you can
yeah,
discern better. And
Mhm.
there's so that's so profound. Like there's so much insight in that one sentence you said. And I think that is one of the goals, one of the things we're trying with a program like
yeah,
that. Right, is to get to
exactly,
where
yeah.
you can
Yep,
see excite and then you can see it for what it is and not maybe get
exactly.
so lost in the AI or something and all of this.
Ex- I think to me is just answer to your first reaction to use
Mhm.
AI, as you say, overwhelming.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So that really I can see that how can help with the the reaction instead of responding, because the way mindfulness and breath work will help us instead of reaction of overwhelming and anxiety. We just pause, responding, and make a good relationship and
Yep.
knowing who we are, because as you say, Leah, it's just like human, human
Mhm.
have, a lot of the capacity and, ability to just control and know how to use it in
Mhm.
best way to help all of us
Yeah.
instead of scare us.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that's also one of the things being an athlete and coaching athletes is you have to have your mind right, and that does go
Yeah,
back to mindfulness as well. And I think that a lot of people who obtain that skill to be mindful and to do breath work and to have some clarity, I do think that they have an easier time in life overall in general, and especially with school stuff that pertains to AI and everything. They're a lot more confident in going into it knowing that they know the information, and they're just kind of getting the help with it. And if they don't, take a couple breaths, walk away, come back to it and be like, okay, well, what am I trying to do with it? Right? What am I trying to ask it? What am I trying to figure out? How
Yes.
do I, because it's all about the prompts too, right? And
Yes,
how
exactly.
AI
Yeah.
interprets
Yes.
what you want it to be. I mean, you could ask it a
Yes.
question and be
Yes.
like, that's not even close to what I'm
Exactly.
asking you for, and then you feel like you're going crazy.
Students still don't know. I know from my own student, my personal experience. Yes, yeah, but they don't know how to write the right question, and write, prompt to just get the best answer or best advice. Yeah, I think that is the part should be focused, and help students to learn and how to, to use before using.
This is the big question of our podcast. What is your best advice that you'd give to other college students that are going, we're immersed in the age of AI?
Best advice would absolutely be number one, definitely learning to control anxieties through breath work and meditation. That's been one of my most successful traits that I've been able to acquire has been that. Another one would be make sure that you know what the professor's looking for, because every professor is going to be different. They're going to have a different rule or regulation on AI, like we talked about. They're going to have a different set of information that they want you to learn for that class during that class period. So make sure you know what direction you're headed in. Almost have some tunnel vision about it, right? Because sometimes AI can give you all this information, but your tunnel vision needs to be on what that professor's asking you to learn, so that you're not completely overwhelmed by it. And I would also just say that don't be reliant on AI. Don't use that to be your source of information.
Yeah.
I think that students are afraid to struggle. I think they're
Yeah.
afraid to fail. And I think they're afraid to, kind of what that feeling is, when you're like, I can't figure this out. This is so frustrating, right? It's that
Yes.
frustrating feeling.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of them shy away from it. So they're like, I can't figure it out. I'm just going to ask ChatGPT. I'm just going to ask AI or Meta or whatever. And you completely lose all the cognitive function when you do that. You lose the ability to research it and know how to research it. So if you're stuck on something, whatever the source is that the professor gave you, you're going to have a textbook. Go look at that textbook. Go search through everything. And even when you're searching through it, you'll learn information about something else because you're having to look through everything. So it's kind of like a, bang for your buck. You get a whole bunch of information there because you're researching it. And I would also say to get together with other students, because, looking at a screen and asking a screen something, it's not going to engage you the way that like a student study session will. You'll learn so much more, and each person has so much that they can bring to it, or maybe they've taken the class before. So I would definitely say use it as a tool. So, say, hey, here's the information that I have. Can you organize this in a better way for me? I think that's fantastic. But don't shy away from human interaction and the struggle and failure. I know that's such a bad word. People hate that word, but I love it. It's my favorite word because, you grow through failure. You learn through failure. So I think that's super important. So that would definitely be my advice: is go through the struggle, go through it, and talk to your professors. Please, like, don't talk to AI if you have a question. Message your professor, have a conversation, stop by for office hours. Like, they're there. I've utilized my professors hundreds of times. They're probably tired of seeing me. So, but yeah.
Wow, that is some solid advice, though. Yeah, that's some very
Love it.
practical,
Yes.
very practical advice. Can I ask one follow up on the first
Of course.
suggestion, which is which is our passion and our research is, did you learn breath work and mindfulness or meditation or yoga, whatever your practice is? How did you learn it? Where did you go to learn it?
So I had terrible, terrible anxiety growing up as a kid. I mean, horrible. I was afraid to talk to people. I thought I was a 4.0 student in middle school, high school. So I put that own pressure on myself to be a successful student. Always been that way. My parents would be like, "Can you, relax? Like, you're fine. Like, we don't have any pressure on you about this." But I was always that kid.
Yeah.
It got really, really bad in my early 20s, really super bad. I was having panic attacks, and some days I just wouldn't leave the house because I was so inundated and overwhelmed with anxiety and this idea of perfection. And then one day I just kind of like found yoga, and I started going to yoga, and I found how difficult it was to sit in silence, how difficult it was to be with my own thoughts, that I hadn't paid any attention to them. And I hadn't recognized what I was feeling or allowed myself to feel that way. And eventually I became obsessed with it. I did my YTT, yoga teacher training, 200-hour. And I
Wow.
did that.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
I did that.
You're a certified yoga teacher. Okay.
You
Yes,
can
I
hire
am.
us. Good to know.
Oh,
Now we
yeah.
can just, she has,
Oh,
our future yoga teacher.
Yeah,
wow.
absolutely. I did that a lot for my own
Wow.
practice and for myself so that I could
Yeah.
kind of explore, that part of myself and that calmness, that stillness. And then, yeah, since then, I've just always utilized it. And the more you utilize something, the more it
Yeah.
works. Obviously,
Yes.
it concretes it that it's
Yeah.
a beneficial tool.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and so I've been using it ever since. Just
Wow.
take
That's
some calm,
fantastic.
deep
Yeah.
breaths, and
Wow.
Great.
So
yeah.
Great.
impressive. Very
Oh,
Yeah.
thank you.
impressive.
Thank you.
So I'm very feeling grateful for having you. You provided us and our students with such a great practical, advice and
Yeah.
suggestions. And I really appreciate your time and, sharing your experience, your knowledge, everything with us. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thanks for sharing your time
Yeah.
too. You're busy,
Yeah.
but thanks for
Yeah.
coming on. Any last things you want to say to the audience or?
I'm very grateful to be here, and thank you for
Thank
having me
you.
on and allowing me to have this discussion with you guys. I've had a great time.
Well,
Thank
thank
you.
you, everybody. It's been great. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.